Simulcast, the Neil Haley Show and the Mina Valentin Show with our host, Mina Valentin. Hi, Mina. How are you?
I'm good today. How are you?
Fantastic. And what is our topic today?
I think we're going to talk about what they used to call certain diseases.
Okay.
I think it's kind of funny what some of them were.
All right, let's go.
Okay. Well, the grip, they called, if you had like the flu, they called it the grip. Now, how they came up with that, I have no idea, but that's what they called it. And then they called TB was lung disease. And then the pink disease was something that the children got. And I think it sounds kind of like it was chicken pox, the pink disease. I don't understand. And then let me see. The French pox. The French pox was syphilis. They blamed it on the French. And they said in some of the writings that they never had kissed until a certain way until they were in France, and they called it French kissing, which we still call it French kissing. But I guess if somebody was kissing without, being fully engaged, I can't imagine how stimulating that would be. Rubbing your lips together. Does that sound good to you?
No, it doesn't. No. Let's talk about more of that. Ugh. Yeah.
I know, it's creepy, isn't it? And then let's see. If you had the screws, it was rheumatism. The screws. The screws. Then they had different words for like anemia. They would call that cloister.
Right.
I don't know why they called it. So I don't know why they came up with any of these names, but they did. I really, really did like some of the more bizarre ones. A gathering. Now, a gathering, you'd think a gathering would be a lot of people coming together, and it's pus. You have a gathering. Ew.
Gathering is pus?
Yes.
That's what they call pus.
Yeah.
Gathering. Okay. No, well, I don't want to have any more gatherings.
No, not ever.
Exactly.
I know. And then women had mingrims, and they threw that out for just about anything, headaches, or period, anything like that. They called them mingrims, which was a weird name for it. I know that they were still bleeding people back then for all kinds of things, which I read about George Washington that he was bled quite a bit towards the end of his life. And modern physicians say that if they had not done that, he probably would have lived. But he didn't have enough blood to fight off his infection. And how in the world did they come up with that?
I don't know. It's crazy.
It is crazy. And if a woman was in a certain pregnant, they didn't refer to her as being pregnant. She was in a certain way. She's in a certain way. Oh, and then towards the end of her pregnancy, they called it lying in, Lying-in, and that's basically the worst thing in the world to do is lay in bed, and that's what they would have them do, lay in bed. Now, if the woman, if the women lived out in the country, that didn't happen. They would be out working with their husbands in the fields or taking care of the cattle, something like that, which made their human stock a lot healthier. But if you were in town, you were an aristocrat, you had to be lying in.
Oh my gosh.
And they did the same thing to women after they had the baby too. A lot of wealthy women hired a woman to come in and breastfeed the children so she wouldn't have to.
Oh my goodness. So
that's nasty.
It is. And they did that in that time.
Yes. I wouldn't be at all surprised if some women that were really wealthy did that today, but I can't, no. And they hardly spent any time with their kids, not until they were old enough to walk and talk. Some women did, but a lot of them didn't, and they weren't judged harshly for it. I mean, if a woman kind of by our standards today, it would be almost like you were abandoning your child. They didn't look at it like that. If you had money and that's what you chose to do, that's what you did. You didn't get judged for it. Crazy people.
It's nuts.
I know. But I took social geography when I was in college, and it was an elective, and I loved it. And I never met another person that ever heard of it until I was in Miami. And I was sitting at the bar waiting for dinner, and the bartender started talking to me, and she said that her son had just graduated from university with his degree in social geography. And I said, oh my God, I have this book, and it's old, it's a textbook. And I said, give me your address and I'll send it to him. And I did, and he wrote me back a really nice letter. Anyway, there's this tribe somewhere in the Pacific, and one of the ways that they greeted their guest that would come to the house would be to let them have sex with your wife. Hi, Joe, come on in, knock one off.
Oh boy. This all happened in that time period.
I think so, but I was just, that made me think of human geography, and that made me think of that tribe and it would be difficult to be isolated, even if you were middle of nowhere. I've been to some of these little islands where people didn't hardly wear any clothes, but they had a cell phone. They didn't have running water, and they had an outhouse, but they had a cell phone. It's the weirdest thing ever. I went to the grocery store, and these ladies, they were walking, they had no tops on, and their bosoms were hanging inside the buggy. And they were talking on their cell phone. I don't understand. But, they probably think we're weird too. So it all comes out in the wash, doesn't it?
It totally does. And it's unbelievable. All the different things. Go figure.
I know. There was another, I don't know if it was the same tribe or a different one, where they would take a fresh fish and lodge it and then eat it.
Yeah.
Ugh. I don't think I'd like that.
Oh my goodness. So,
Yeah,
these topics,
yeah.
people need to come pick up your book, right? Because you write really about the that romance era,
I
the Georgian romance era. You really
yeah, and
take your time to put in that historical knowledge in it.
oh, I want to make sure that everything I write about is accurate. I have streets, and in one of the books that I wrote about was about Jonathan and little Stevie, and the period was in 1794, and there was a big fire, and I incorporated that into the story. Um, so I want to make sure that I have everything about as accurate as I can, but excuse me, but use um, fictional characters uh, in, as the storyline. But everything else, the trips that they had to take, how long they took, I tried to make that accurate. The weather, I tried to make that accurate. The streets and the names of certain shops that are still, there's some shops that are still in business today. And I use those. Uh, the place where they used to go and buy horses, they had a auction, and every week, and had bought and sold horses. Um, I wrote about that. I put that into a couple of my stories. Um, they're all real places, real things, and with fictional characters. And I just love doing that. And for me, I can, when I write like that, I can see my characters in those places. And that's why I want so much to go to England and see all these places that I've written about. And I'm going to go. I am.
Yeah, you are gonna go.
I
Yeah.
am.
When are you going?
I don't know.
But someday.
Yes, and it won't be very long. I was thinking of, I was talking to a lady who is from there, and I asked her, which is the best time to go, spring or fall? And she said she thought spring would be better than fall. But either one of those seasons would probably be the best because people usually aren't traveling those times and all the kids are in school.
All right. Well, fantastic. Go to MinaValentine.com, pick up her book.
Yeah,
It's available everywhere, and autographed copies at MinaValentine.com. Appreciate it, Mina.
thank you.
That
Have
was a special simulcast of the Neil Haley Show and the Mina Valentine Show.